Congratulations on breaking every record in the book tonight. That's great.
Well, thank you. Well, I mean, maybe we could start off with, the assassination attempt.
It's a miracle. If I hadn't turned my head,
Yeah,
I would not be talking to you right now. As much as I like you,
exactly.
I would not.
Yeah,
I would
well,
not be talking to you.
maybe talking to me from another realm, perhaps.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. We'd be talking from a
so
different place.
you're supportive of legal immigration, but but we also need to shut down illegal immigration, and especially unvetted illegal
Yes,
immigration, because and that's not the same as saying that everyone who's an illegal immigrant is bad. In fact, I think most people who are illegal immigrants are actually good, but you can't tell the difference unless there's a solid vetting of who comes across the border. Does that accurately
100%.
represent your position?
I say it
Okay.
very simply. They have to come in legally. They have to be checked.
Yeah.
Because look, Kamala was the border czar. Now she's denying it. Everything that I do, she's
Yeah.
saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. They could do things right now. It's horrible because you have millions of people coming in a month, and then she gets up and she tries to pretend like she's going to do something. She had 3.5 years, and by the way, they have another 5 months that they can do something, but they
Yeah.
won't do anything. It's all talk. She's
No.
incompetent and he's incompetent. And frankly, I think that she's more incompetent than he is. And that's saying something because he's not too good. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a
It's
different. Look,
yeah.
she hasn't done an
I mean,
interview since this
yeah,
whole scam started.
well,
And say what you want. This
yeah,
was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice
yeah.
way or we can do it the
No,
hard way.
yeah. No, they just took him out back behind the shed and basically shot him.
What they did
Biden.
with this guy,
So
and I'm no
yeah,
fan of his, and he was a horrible president, the worst president in history. And one of the reasons he was so bad, first of all, the Israeli attack would have never happened. Russia would never have attacked Ukraine, and we'd have no inflation. And we wouldn't have had the Afghanistan mess, if you think of it.
well,
And we wouldn't have had
yeah,
Afghanistan. But we think of it,
well, yeah,
you take a few of those events away, and we have a different world. I know Putin very well. I got along with him very well. He respected me, and it's just one of those things. And we would talk a lot about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye. But I said, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. I shut down Nord Stream 2. That was the big oil pipeline, the biggest, I think, the biggest pipeline in the world going all over Europe. I shut it down. Biden came, and then they say
yeah,
I loved Russia. I was a friend of Putin, and I loved Russia. No, he actually said to me one time. He said, "If you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as an enemy." I shut down his pipeline, the biggest pipeline. They were looking at that to
yeah,
fund, and this pathetic president gets in there, and the first thing he did, one of the early things he did, is he shut down. He shut down Keystone XL pipeline, which is our pipeline that would have employed 48,000 people, pipeline workers, shuts it down. That was, a massive job that Obama refused to allow.
yeah,
I allowed it in my first week because it was jobs and it moved oil. And by the way, in a much more environmentally friendly way. It's underground. It's not a truck that catches on fire or a train that catches on fire. But think of it. He shut down the XL pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline. He
yeah,
shuts that down and he approves the Russian pipeline. Obama and Biden and Bush, to a certain extent, in all fairness, forced Russia and China together. And if you're a history student, the first thing you learn is you cannot let Russia and China align. But then they also got, if you take a look, Iran, and they have North Korea. That's, they call it the axis of evil. In the old days, you had the axis of evil. Here we have a modern day axis of evil. These are powerful countries, very heavy nuclear, which is the biggest threat.
yeah.
The biggest threat is not global warming, where the ocean's going to rise one eighth of an inch over the next 400 years. The biggest threat is not that. The biggest threat is nuclear warming.
Now, you may have seen this, but I got a letter from the EU Commission, like saying, to not have disinformation on the during this discussion that we're having, and there's a lot of attempts to do censorship and to force censorship even on Americans from other countries, and what do you think about that?
Well, I know the European Union very well. They take great advantage of the United States in trade, as you know. We, through a different forum, NATO, we protect them. And yet, if you build a car in the United States, you can't sell it in Europe. You just can't sell it. It's impossible. The same thing with our farmers. Our farmers find it very difficult to do business. We have a deficit with them of $250 billion, which people don't know. It sounds so nice, the European Union, but let me tell you, they're not as tough as China, but they're bad. And I let them know it. And that's probably why they notified you. No, they don't treat our country well. We defend them, with Ukraine. So we're in for 250 billion, and they're in for about 71 billion, and they have the same size. If you add up the European nations that in terms of an economy, it's about the same size. Wouldn't you say as us? And they're in,
Yeah,
and they're in much greater risk. They're right there. We have an ocean separating us from, in this case, the enemy would be Russia. Used to be for the
yeah,
Soviet Union, but let's assume they're close enough. And what happens is they're in for 70 something million. I think even less than that, billion, and we're in for about 250 billion, and it could be a lot higher than that. And I say, why aren't you going to equalize? Why aren't they paying what we're paying? And they're in much more, it's much more important for them because of the fact that, they're right near there. I mean, they're all sort of in that location. We're not. But
yeah,
they should, and I did it with NATO. There were only 7 countries that were paid up in NATO out of 28 at the time. And the United States
yeah,
was
yeah,
the United States was subsidizing NATO, tremendously subsidizing NATO. And I went
yeah,
in and I said, you
yeah.
got to pay up. If you don't pay up, we're not going to defend you any longer. I took a lot of heat, but you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in. We have to bring energy
Yeah.
prices down. Energy started it. The price of gasoline. Now your cars don't require too much gasoline, so you have a good, and you do make a great product. I have to say, I have to be honest with you.
Thank
That
you.
doesn't mean everybody should have an electric car, but these are minor details. But your product is incredible. But the
Thank you.
gasoline, Elon, is the cost of energy. Not only gasoline, it's the cost of heating your house and cooling your house. That has
Sure.
to come down. It's gone up 100%, 150, and 200%, and that has to come down. When that comes down, and we're going to
Yeah.
drill, baby, drill. They stopped drilling, and then they went back to drilling because they went back to the Trump policy. But if they won the day after they get into office, this country will go out of business because they're going to go to an energy policy that's not sustainable. Wind and different things. You're not going to have anything.
Yeah.
And I know you're a big fan of the AI, and I have to say
Yeah.
that AI, and this is shocking to me, but AI requires twice the energy that the country already produces for everything. So you're going to have to build. We're going to have to build a lot of energy if our country will be competitive with China, because that's our primary competitor for this on the AI. You're going to
Sure.
need a lot of
Well, I mean,
electricity. You're going to need tremendous
yeah,
electricity, like almost double what we produce now for the whole country, if you can believe it.
is they're rewriting history and making Kamala sound like a moderate when in fact she is far left, like far, far
Worse
left.
than Bernie
Um,
Sanders. She is considered more
yeah.
liberal by far than Bernie Sanders. She's a radical left lunatic. And if she's going to be our president, very quickly, you're not going to have a country anymore. And she'll go back to all of
Yeah.
the things that she believes in. She believes in defunding the police. She believes in no fracking, zero. You know, now all of a sudden
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
saying, no, I will. I really want to see fracking. If they got in, the day she got in, she'll end fracking. And by the way, if people didn't think that, the lunatics that really believe in that, they won't vote for her. Like like the
Yeah.
Palestinians and Israel. She is so anti-Israel, and she's bad for both. Biden actually did something that was impossible. Both sides hate him. You know, both sides. That was a hard
Yeah,
thing to do. Unification. I hope you don't get
yeah.
nervous because you got a lot of people listening to you right now, like 60 million or something. What is that number? It's crazy. It's amazing how you can see that right away. How many? What is the number? Wow. What is it?
Well,
Wow.
I think in
Wow,
terms of
that's a
people
that's a
that
big that's bigger than you said. You said 25 and you're much more than double that number, 25 million. I think you're going to be 60 or 70. And I guess over a period of time, hey, I congratulate you. Do I get paid for this or not? We're going to have a big election coming up, and I think November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country. I think that election will be the most important election, and I think it'll end up being maybe the most important day in the history of our country, because if
Yeah.
we don't win, I just feel so sorry for everybody.
No, I think we're at a fork in the road of destiny of civilization, and I think we need to take the right path, and I think you're the right path. So I think
Wow.
that's what it comes down to.
Thank you very much, Elon. It's a great honor, and we'll do it again sometime. And it's been really fun, and I hope you got a lot of viewers. I hear you got a lot, but I hope you
Sure.
got
Yeah.
I know you got a lot of them. So I appreciate it. I'll see you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Elon. Thank you very much. Bye.